Welcome to the latest episode of 305 Vox Populi here in the studio at St. Thomas University. And with us today, we have a 305 legend, DJ Zog. How you doing, Zog?
And the crowd goes crazy now, right?
As we'll see you at that. No, you got to put the applause. Applauso.
I like that. When you say legend, is that a nice way of saying you're old?
No. Man. Listen, you walked in here and the first thing I heard was one of the students say, man, I listen to you every single morning. That's what being a legend is all about. That folks listen to you, tune in to hear music, but also the news. See what's up, see what's going on.
Yep, and we share a lot of our personal lives too, which is, we'll get into that later, but which is part of like the morning show that I have now, where I've been transitioning to that, where before it was just like, oh, let's just talk about what's going on. But now it's like what's going on with my life. And it's been kind of difficult because I'm kind of like a closed book. And now it's I have to like talk about like, you know, my mother and my girlfriend and my cat and people. That way people can relate. And that's the trick to people. Oh, wait, I know what he's talking about. Or, you know, like little things like that to try to relate to the audience.
So on the point on relatability, when we talk about relatability, you mentioned earlier, you and I were talking before the show on how you played baseball.
Oh, yeah.
Right? When you were a kid, 10 years, you tried out for your high school baseball team, but there was a door that closed, but maybe that door closing opened up another one. When did you realize that music was in the books for you?
Great question. Not only did that door close, but I also tried out for the basketball team, and that closed too. I tried, and you're right. So what ended up happening is I always liked music. As like a teenager, I was kind of started getting into it, and I'd listen to Power 96 as a teenager, and they used to do live broadcasts from nightclubs, and I used to record them. Like, wow, man, one day when I'm gonna be like old enough, I'll be at that nightclub and listen to the DJs rock. And the way I got into music was I had a cousin of mine and his neighbor, and he had bought turntables and a mixer. And I thought I was gonna be the guy that's going to chase them or go to all the parties and be like the little, like the do boy that will take your records here. I'll put the records away. And then I was watching them DJ. I'm like, wait, I think I can do that. And I started practicing, buying my own turntables. Then I started doing like little private parties in high school. And that's when I knew, like, you know what? I think I got something here. And that's after that, like to fast forward a little bit, they used to have DJ competitions at Hot Wheels. Which is down the skating rink down there. It's kind of the Hialeah version was Thunder Wheels.
I remember Thunder Wheels right in Hialeah Gardens on 103rd.
So they would have these DJ competitions where the DJ would have like 5 minutes. You got 5 minutes, do whatever you want, but impress the crowd, do something. And I would enter these competitions. And just like baseball and basketball, I'd lose them. That's what I do. And then, but eventually there was one at Guitar Center in like 96, because I heard the commercials like, who wants to be the next power mixer on Power 96? And I'm like, yes, that's me. That's my opportunity. So I went to Guitar Center. I made the top four, the final four. And then the finals, I believe, was at Cameo Theater on South Beach, where it was like a night where it was actually my night. And our friend Xavier, he was the promoter, and it was an all-age party at Cameo Theater during the summer on a Thursday night. And at that night happened to also be the finals for the DJ competition, but it was like my night. I was the DJ. So all the DJs would do their thing, but when I came on, I was friends with like the managers and the light guy. So when DJ Zog came on, the smoke came out and the strobes came out, and it was like madness. It's like, what happened? All the other DJs did their thing, but when Zog came out, it looked like explosions, like 4th of July, crazy, and it helped the crowd. I might have like jaded the crowd like a little bit, but I ended up being a finalist on Power 96. I got on the radio. I lost that too, but I called one of the music directors at the time, and I said, hey, if you ever need me, I'm here. He goes, oh, I know who you are. I know exactly who you are. Are you available Friday at 8 p.m.? I'm like, yes. Are you available Saturday at 9 p.m.? Yes. Are you available Sunday at 7 p.m.? Yes. You're in. And that was October of 1996 that I started DJing on Power 96. For 2 years, I did it for free. I drove from Kendall to like North Miami by the stadium just to
free
hear my name on the radio. That's all I wanted to do.
Man, but how did that feel, going from not making the baseball team, not making the basketball team, losing out on all those DJ competitions?
Way to rub it in.
No, but I think it's inspirational, because sometimes the youth and people in our society, once they fail on something, they're like, I give up. And
I know.
You kept rocking. But
it might be cliche, but it's like it was meant to happen, right? You know, it was supposed to happen. You know, you don't get to a certain place without failure, you know? And it was a lot of challenges, but I knew what I wanted. I was very fortunate because I had passion for what I wanted. And you don't tell people, hey, I want you to have passion for, you know, for this or that. You have to have it. And I had it. All I wanted to do was be the most popular DJ. So I did the radio thing around between 96 and 99. All I did was DJ proms and homecomings because I wanted every student that was leaving their school to say, DJ Zog rocked my prom or rocked my homecoming, and to make it memorable for them. Like, it was a marketing strategy behind me. I'm like, I just want to make sure that people know the name Zog. Who the hell that guy is.
That makes sense. An entire generation of folks growing up in the 305 looked up to you, right? DJ, like I saw it this weekend. I was at a Quinces. Who would have thought? A Quinces in Hialeah, next to Flanagan's, next to the famous Flanagan's. And I look over and they announced DJ Zog. Everybody's like, man, this is amazing. This is like what the Miami music scene is all about. So for me to experience that was so special. But going from not getting paid, how did you now make that switch? Because giving those 2 years, and by the way, that's another great lesson. If you want something, you got to jump in and be like, I don't even care if I get paid. And understanding that the rewards come later on. And
not to be mean about it, but we live now the generation where everybody's entitled. Oh, you know, I'm going to pay my dues. I did something for 3 months. Where's me? Where's my pay? Now I deserve it. You know, it's all about me. And, you know, it's like, it ain't like that. You got to work it more than 3 months, more than 6 months. I did it for 2 years for free just because I had passion for it and I wanted it. So some people are, you know, we live in a society today, and even the young generation where they're entitled. It's like, I deserve this because this, you know, and it's like, that's not the mindset to have.
Well, not only that, the ethics I think you have in the music industry is so strong. Like this weekend alone, I had the dad of the quinceañera. He spoke to me the day before. He's like, man, I got Zog.
Shout out to Roman.
Yeah, Roman's a great dude. You're my man. I love Roman. But Roman looked at me and he's like, man, we booked Zog a year in advance.
Yeah.
And this dude had a bunch of different opportunities to make more money. Yet Zog said, you know what? My ethics is more important. And he stuck with the quinceañera, even though he could have made probably 10, 20, 30, who knows how much more money somewhere else. But I think that lesson alone, like you've gotten to a point where you can pick and choose. But for somebody to book you a quinceañera, for you to stick to that, how much that meant to that family. I can tell you it meant a lot. They were like, man, they were blown away by you and how you did that. Because a lot of other folks would have chased the money, yet you chased the ethics, and I'm sure it'll grow from that. I'm sure people see that. Like that story to me, I was like, man, this is a good dude.
Business integrity, it matters. It's that much. So yeah, it was like almost a year ago, and he put a deposit down straight up. So I'm like, all right, he's locked in. A couple times, you know, my assistant and I, make sure, hey, are we good for, March, whatever the date was, are we good for that day? Are we good for that day? Because then the promoter, the guy that does the freestyle concert at the what is the name of the arena there at the University of Miami? Watsco Center.
The Watsco Center.
At the Watsco Center, because I hosted the show for him in the past, and it's like 6,000 people, in the Watsco Center, almost sold out. Great look, all the classic old school freestyle, the Debbie Deb and the Stevie B's and all that stuff. Montel Jordan, This Is How We Do It. Rob Bass, It Takes Two to Make a Thing Go Right, all performing.
Man, you could sing, by the way. You just gave us a little sneak peek. If you could do some Montel Jordan later on for us, then
maybe. Any scotch around? All right. So all these guys were performing, and it's a great look to intro all these guys, and be part of that. And when the promoter found out that I could not do your event, he was like, "Oh, please, Zog, no, come on, man." I go, Alan, I'm sorry, bro, but this guy already gave me a deposit, and I would do it for anybody. If you had given me a deposit in advance, I would have been committed to your event. And so something inside me, and I was told, I'm like, oh, forget that. Send somebody else. Send him his deposit back and do the concert. And then I had a bunch of other inquiries for that day for more money. I'm like, I can't do that. I'm not going to do that to somebody, because if I was him, I would feel like I'd feel terrible. I feel deflated. So I stuck with it, and I rocked his quinceañera, the 15s, and it was a good time.
It definitely was. So Did you ever have a moment in your career, if you could share with us, that maybe you've interviewed everybody, right?
A
lot of folks, major folks in the music world. Did you ever have that one moment that you interviewed somebody, you're like, man, I made it. I can't believe I went from starting off at the Guitar Center, DJing there, to now I'm interviewing somebody that I studied, being an expert in music, right? I heard even Laz talking about that. How you're known as somebody who's studious when it comes to the music world. But did you ever interview somebody you were like, that's when you realized, you're like, bro, I can't believe I'm doing this.
I can't believe this is old school right now. I'm bringing it back, and I'll bring it back to the new school. But the old school, I can't believe I met Ed McMahon.
That's pretty cool.
Ed McMahon. I know the younger guys. Who the hell is Ed McMahon? But Ed McMahon was like, wow, this is like, I can't believe Star Search. This guy hosted that. It was part of the Tonight Show, right? And then I got caked by Steve Aoki. That was dope.
That's.
But I've interviewed. There's so many artists, like off the top of my head, like that I've met and I've chatted with. Busta Rhymes. That guy's an animal. That guy's super aggressive. Even when you talk to him, you get scared. The way he raps is the way he talks. Like, let me tell you something right now, bro. I want to just talk to you, bro. 50 Cent was super nice guy. Really, really, really nice guy. Man, it's so many. Sometimes you start shooting blanks right now. But those are a couple of names of people. And you always try, because in the industry you call it an interview, but for us in the industry it's a conversation. That's all you want to do. You want to just chat with them real quick, I had a conversation actually 3 weeks ago with Mr. Mix, which is the DJ from the 2 Live Crew, in the studio, and he was talking about how he started. And if you know 2 Live Crew, 2 Live Crew is the reason why rappers today can curse, and it's okay to curse because of the parental advisory little sticker on there, and and that's why, because they went to jail. 2 Live Crew went to jail because they cursed in music. And people don't really realize, because then it was the whole freedom of speech thing, and then they led the way to be able for people to exercise the freedom of speech through music, and now that's why you have dirty versions of songs. It was cool.
Interesting.
It is.
So this year you celebrated about 26 years and a half.
Yeah. This coming October will be 27 years. I've been with Power 96.
So that video, there's a little 9-minute documentary that I watched about.
We call it a Zocumentary.
A Zocumentary. How did that feel? Because those people, those were your friends. You have from Laz, Lope, Lucy. You had everybody on there. And watching that, how does that, and looking back and looking forward to the future, right? It's not only just looking back, but how does that...
I had some people watch it and go, how come you didn't put me in the documentary, bro? I'm like, I'll wait till the 30-year one, and then we'll put you in, okay?
Well, that's it.
We're like, people were like, oh, come on, how was that? I wanted to kind of keep it short. The 5 people that were there from the very beginning when I started out, when I was 19 years old, when I started on the radio station. So I wanted that. I produced all that. I had an editor and a videographer, but I had an editor. I had to get tapes, and I find a company that is able to digitize old videotapes. I found old footage of me rocking at Columbus Senior High doing their prom. And a couple of other events when I'm like a scrawny little tiny nerd, everybody put your hands up,
No, you were wearing suits back then. I saw you were rocking a
well, when it comes to either a wedding or a formal event, I thought you got to dress the part.
Not anymore.
Nah, I just wear my fedora, and a open shirt. I'm good with that. Represent MIA like that. I don't have to get too fancy anymore. I'm over the tie thing. I can't do ties anymore. I'm telling the mayor that.
Listen, I'm the same way. So I know the students have several questions lined up for you.
Okay, cool.
Who's going to break the ice?
So you mentioned something about Hot Wheels.
Oh, yeah.
You were big into the music scene back then.
Yeah.
My father is, I'm pretty sure the same age as you, and he tells me all the time about stories back then. He used to be a breakdancer, and so we'd go around to the different clubs, dance battling people, and he tells me that the music scene back then was really alive, and that it was really passionate, really intense. It's way different. He has a lot of love for the old school,
back then, between the music and radio, like there was no this. And so, everybody, it's a distraction now because everybody just does this the whole time. Back then, what was going on, you listen to the radio, okay, let's see what's popping, or the music, that was kind of like the trend. But yeah, people were more into it back then, because the truth is this: back then, I used to rock a party, people would actually care about the music and dance to the music, Now it's tough because everybody's attention span, especially the 15-year-olds, their attention span is literally 30. It's TikTok. You got 30 seconds. Next song. If not, they're like this. So as a DJ, I gotta gotta keep them in there like that, and it's tiring. Imagine doing that for like 2.5 hours. It's not easy. It's not. Now the older people, the more like, I don't want to say mature crowd, because sometimes older people are immature, but the older crowd, I can play a song, a whole verse, I can play a whole minute and a half, and they'll enjoy the song. And as a DJ, I'm like, all right, this is cool, you enjoy the song, or all up to the hook. And so back in the day, it was a little bit different, comparing the two eras.
He also says a lot of the music back then was just better.
That's subjective. I mean, I don't know. It's
Subjective, but for example, just he tells me this, and I do kind of agree, like the way that they made music back then.
yeah.
And specifically mainstream music, not a lot of
You mean when you listen to, I just want to, that's not soul? Oh man, you don't want to know. I'm gonna make your father look like super young. I like, but I like 80s stuff, 80s and 90s stuff. I'll rock my discos. I did a disco set. Even the kids like that because of TikTok. I'll play ABBA, I'll play all the Bee Gees and Casey and the Sunshine Band, and they'll rock to it. But that's because I'm quick mixing and stuff like that. But personally, I love 80s stuff. I love like 90s hip hop. I'm into that stuff. That's the good stuff for me. 80s retro. That was big when I was in high school. New Order, the examples of artists and groups: New Order, Lime, Erasure, Pet Shop Boys. You ever heard of any of those?
No.
Really?
I was born the Tupac, Biggie era.
No, but that was like.
But I don't.
But no, all that stuff too. But that was like new wave, like retro music.
No, I don't.
Really?
Yeah, no.
If you hear it, you know exactly what it is.
Okay.
All right. So every time I see you falling, I get down on my knees and pray.
Keep going.
No, I'm not doing that.
I'm gonna reel you in to make you feel good again. I'm a big 80s guy, so all I know is I can listen to that all day. Right? My question though, industry question, we're learning about this in this mass media class. When you started in radio, it was definitely radio point blank, just not just artists, it's overall. The local field mattered more. Now obviously you have national, you have national.
Syndicated.
Yeah, syndicated, and ownership, and the ownership of radio is like two people at this point.
That's right.
So, from your position, where do you see that you've changed your approach with how you do your job, thanks to how the industry has formed in the last decade and a half?
You gotta stay relevant as best as possible. And so, what's the way to stay relevant? Talking about like, all right, Britney Spears just posted another selfie with her top off. Like everybody's talking about that. So what we continue to do is, well, what's Zog or Evie or what's our perspective on it? What's the Miami perspective on this? What would we say? Or how do we incorporate a croqueta or a colada into the conversation so that way people can remember that? Because you're gonna hear whatever of Lindsay Lohan was announced yesterday that she's pregnant. And what? The way we tied it in and we continue to make it local and right. And you were right. Because of the syndication, some of that stuff is good stuff. Like these guys have $1 million shows, Enrique and Breakfast Club and Ricky Smiley. All these guys have major budgets, and so they're able to, they got producers and stuff like that. I'm not in that situation, believe it or not. I might be opening up the door, a little sneak peek of what I have to experience with my company, which is, it's Evie and I, and we used to have a producer. I'm my own producer now. We are our own producer. It's just us, so there's only so much we can do, but what can we do? Two of us. It's two people that have been here in Miami. grew up in Kendall. I lived in Hialeah. I lived right behind the Okeechobee and the Palmetto, right there by the Walmart there. I lived there for a couple years. I lived on Biscayne in downtown Miami. I live up in Broward now, but like I'm a Miami guy. Like I've done it all. I did all the FIU parties, all the high schools. Like I list all the. I can go down the list and go every high school I've done a homecoming or prom. I do almost every single one. So how can I relate? How can I touch somebody that's listening and go, oh, okay, I can relate. I understand what he's talking about. That's my homeboy right there. Yes, sir. Gentleman in the back, yes?
It's putting you on the spot, bro.
With criticism, I answered that question already. Like to me, it's and you're right. Do you think that mean? I know it's subjective, but that's not soul. There's no soul in music. You know what I'm saying? Like back then, like even like with like the hip hop back then, like they have lyrics. Biggie, Tupac. Yeah. You listen to like the actual lyrics, and they're brilliant. The way they sound, they mean something. And today they just don't mean anything. And then if you actually like read the content of what the lyrics are, do I gotta tell you what it is? Like there's no like, okay, like this is it,
There's a statement that students say whenever you talk about your feelings. They're like, oh, who hurt you? And as I hear that, I'm like, who hurt you that you're not allowed to express yourself? You know what I mean? Like, so like for instance, like we grew up with R&B and like I love you and this and that doesn't exist anymore. In fact, if you caught listening to that, you're like, oh, who hurt you?
Oh.
So like they hide their feelings. Like
yeah.
I think we live in a society. This is not a question. It's more back and forth.
Yeah.
We live in a society that hide their feelings.
Yeah,
you know
that's right.
And these young kids are like, it's almost like, oh, who hurt you? Oh no, it's like they can't fathom the thought of feeling.
But you know what I'm noticing more and more is through social media and because of TikTok and stuff like that, where if that wasn't around, like a 13-year-old. What the hell is ABBA, Dancing Queen, But now because of that, they're exposed to that stuff. So what I'm seeing is that these, when I'm doing some of these younger end parties for the 15s and the 16-year-olds, I always ask, give me a top 10, 15 must play list. I must play these songs, whatever. And the same songs keep coming back from the kids. So what's happening is because they're exposed to some of the stuff from like the 2010s, which there was an era there that was great. The Rihanna, some of the Drake stuff, Calvin Harris, like when that EDM movement happened, like the hits are the hits. We Found Love by Rihanna is a timeless hit. The Motto by Drake, timeless hit. Like some of these, and even some of the older stuff where they'll want Biggie and Tupac, or the classic reggaeton stuff, like old school. Everybody wants to hear Gasolina, even though that song's from like 2003 or whatever it is, 5, whenever it was. And so the younger generation is being exposed to some of this stuff, and they're like, this stuff is good because it was good, when you compare it to the. That's the new Lil Uzi Vert song, Just Wanna Rock. That's why. I mean. It's never what you expect them to look like. I know. It's always I get it all the time. I thought you were a lot taller. You were taller, because they think you're 6'3", that on the radio sometimes and sometimes when I get aggressive, I sound like a wrestler. It's just that's how I sound. I just start sounding like this, and it's like, oh man, I thought you were 6'3" with a goatee, massive, tattoos everywhere, and so that happens. That happens a lot. But I'm used to it. It's not as much today because IG and I don't know if you ever heard of Facebook, because I know that a lot of people don't use that anymore.
So you had this segment. Power 96 had this very popular segment called Busted.
Yeah.
Could you explain your experiences with that? Maybe tell like some of the craziest stories you had, or like just like the whole background of that.
So the thing is that we would do that segment almost every day. So it's almost at the end of the day, like for those that don't know what it is, it's basically like, somebody calls the radio station, kind of like if you ever heard of the War of the Roses. You call the radio station, I think my partner's cheating on me. Like, okay, hold on a second. We're going to find out if that person is cheating on you. Stay on the line. And then we call the person. We say the example is like, oh, you got free flower delivery. Mike, who would you like to deliver the flowers to? And he says, instead of his wife, he sends it to his girlfriend or something like that. And then she's on the line. You've been busted, Or after that, the segment turned into exposed. Or you've been exposed, and then they go at it back and forth on, And there are like a million versions of those. Carmen's back, actually. We got her back. Yeah, every day now, 7:50 and 8:50. I sound like a promo for the radio station. But it's a prank call. It's a prank call is what it is. Yes. It's yeah. I don't want to break too many hearts, but it's actually, even though Carmen is a female on the air, it's actually a man that does that voice. Yeah.
Now that we got to the busted stuff, what do you think is the most ridiculous segment or thing that you've done on the radio? Just like when you look back and you're like, I can't believe we did this.
So I touched on how like part of being a successful radio personality, you got to like open up a little bit, talk about your feelings and who you are, so people can relate and understand who you are. So for Valentine's Day, we did something called the Game of Love. So it was my girlfriend and I, and then Evie and her husband. It's basically us versus each other. Who knows their partner better? And so it was a game where we step out of the room, Evie and I, and they ask, my significant other and Evie's significant other the same questions. Then we go back in the room and say, okay, they ask us like, what would your partner say? And at the end of the day, bottom line is that, so every day we played this game and the caller had to pick who's going to win today. Is Zog going to win today or is Evie going to win today? Whatever, Evie's going to win. All right. And then she ended up winning and said if they won, if they picked the right personality to win, they win like a cruise to like the Bahamas or something like that. So we did that for like Valentine's Day. And Evie won. Well, I lost the first 4 days. So finally on Friday, I won one of the rounds, and I had people telling me, like coming up to me, like I don't know where I was at a party or somewhere. I was doing an event and like, yo, Zog, I listened to that game every single day. I was rooting for you. Finally, though, thank God you won one game, bro. Please, thank you, because the thing is that the female was winning every single day. The man, so it made me seem like I don't know my partner. I don't know my girlfriend, and Evie knows everything about her husband. So that for the first time ever, I was opening the door to, because some of these questions were like, oh, where was your first kiss? We had to like remember, answer the same question, or where was your first date or something like that. And that's, I just did that like last month, and it was a little, I don't want to say it wasn't embarrassing, but it was for the first time I had to like really open up, and then sometimes like look bad for my girlfriend. And she's like, what, don't you know that? Don't you remember our first date or anything like that? So that was a memorable experience just last month.
You guys got anything else for Zog?
I have this one question. So you mentioned earlier about how you do giveaways.
Yeah.
And I remember that, like people that would like caller number 9.
Yeah.
Whoever's caller number 9 give away.
Still do that. Did it this morning. We gave away youth fair tickets because it opens tomorrow, and we gave away Pink concert tickets. Pink is a female artist. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of Pink. I know some of these guys might be like, this guy, we're an idiot? I'm not an idiot. I know who Pink is.
What's like the most heartwarming story you can give about a giveaway? Like, someone, because I remember the people, they sound very grateful.
Yeah. I think I remember one lady, like she was going through like, I think like financial struggles, and I think like one of her kids was in the hospital, and she won something of significance. So it's obviously, you know, when you hear of somebody that is, you know, in the gutter like that, and then they ended up winning, or so, you know, they end up gaining something like that, you feel good for them. So like we have that every once in a while, and so very heartwarming. Gentleman in the back, yes. Oh, go ahead. I know, because I hate hearing that too. Work hard. You know, there are people that work hard for a long time, and just because you work hard doesn't. Sometimes you got to be lucky. I'm going to be real with you. You have to be lucky. Listen, I played baseball for a long time, and I was just unlucky. But just because I played baseball or try to, you know, make it to the next level, or basketball, just you work hard doesn't mean you're going to get there. You know, unfortunately, like, and I know this is like frowned upon, maybe the way I say this, because it's not the just work hard and you'll get there. That's nonsense sometimes. Yes, you have to work hard. You have to have passion for it. You got to have a little bit of luck, bro. It happens. That's just like what it is. You know, sometimes you're like in a situation where an opportunity arises and then you take advantage of it. And because of, you know, what is it? Luck, the definition of luck is where preparation meets opportunity. Exactly. And so, you know, sometimes the stars align. I mean, I know it's like, it applies to some people. Some people do work hard and get to where they need to be, but it's not one playbook for everybody. That's the thing. Everybody has their own situation. Everybody here got to the school, but a different way. So there's more that one of my mentors said, there's more than one right way to do things, you know? And so just 2 plus 3 is 5, but so is 4 plus 1. So is 5 plus 0. There's a million right ways to do things. But you have to, in my opinion, though, you have to have some passion for whatever you want to do. You want to do it. It's got to be in there, you know. And some people, just because you like something doesn't mean you have passion for it either, you know. So you got to keep that in mind as well.
That is true. Something we do a little different, and from a lot of podcasts, we turn it around. You get to ask me any questions, which is dangerous because you do this every day, right? So you're prepared for this, I'm sure. Man.
I'm not prepared, but the first thing, and I know this might be irrelevant, but man, the first time it was the city of Miami Lakes versus Doral, right? Down in Doral, played basketball.
Yeah.
I emceed the event.
Yep.
Yo, how did you become such a great baller, bro? Do people realize how much of a good basketball? Does everybody here know how good of a basketball player he is? Really?
Yeah, they don't know. I don't think they're ready for that. So
this guy is a baller, bro. You ball hogged a bunch of times, but you know what? I gave you a pass. No pun intended. I gave you a pass. No, but it's because you're that good. Like, he's a good ball player. How did that happen?
Listen, man, I grew up playing basketball, played in high school, continued playing adult leagues. But even today, I turned 40 this year. Even today, I still surprise people see me on the court. They're like, this guy's terrible. And I still surprise folks. I beat people that are still a lot younger than me. Like kids on my back. I coach high school basketball. I can still beat every single one of them. So that's like part of the drill. I tell them, listen, anybody here, it could beat me one-on-one. We'll go from there. But yeah, man, just growing up on the streets of in Hialeah, playing every single day. So, but talk about hard work and your craft and getting lucky. Man, just balled out. We had the mayor of Miami. He showed up to the game. I don't know if you remember that. Francis Suarez.
Yeah.
And before the game, he had called me. He goes, I want to do a one-on-one for charity.
No.
Yeah, because he thought he saw me. He's like, this guy's terrible.
You versus him, and that's it.
Yeah, but he probably thought, because, bro, I don't look like a baller. Like, might not look like a baller, right? I don't know, you know? And so he was like, try me. He was like, yeah, we're going to set up a one-on-one in one of our cities' gyms, and, bro, for charity. But he was like talking to me like if he was going to beat me. He showed up to this event, and he never called me again to do the one-on-one. So I'll tell you, that's to say Francis never wanted to play me one-on-one ever again. So it never went through because of that. So
really?
yeah, true story.
Last question, not basketball related. Can it be mayor related?
Yeah, for sure. Anything. Mayor related is.
You always have, like, for example, like if you go to Yelp, there's always people like the loudmouths that are complaining about stuff.
Yeah.
You have to have those residents in Miami Lakes and I get it, they'll have the reason why. How do you deal with those people that are just the nagging, the complaining, you know, that just like all they do is like complain about something? Like, how do you smooth it over a little bit, because you have to have a little finesse, right? Because you don't want to be, a mean guy or you're, I don't want to say like you're a politician, but the fact is that you got a role to play as a mayor.
Yeah, so it used to bother me, right? When, as a human being, right? You get elected, you're super excited. I remember my first meeting, I was so excited. I was 28, 29 years old. I sit down and I had dozens of people who I've never met in my life show up and badmouth, like talk really bad. And I remember leaving the meeting and I was like, what did I do? What did I get into? This is terrible. But today it doesn't even bother me. So what I do is I turn it into a positive. Usually when somebody calls me and says, Mayor, this city's terrible, or this is happening, I don't like it, I turn it around on them. I'm like, listen, come with me, let's meet, and I want you to be part of this committee that's going to work on making this better. So what ended up happening was half of the people said, bro, I'm game, I'm gonna help you. And some of those people become great friends of mine. The other half of those folks that were criticizing us kind of disappeared because they knew that if they talked to me, that I was going to turn it around on them and be like, let's get it done. Let's do it together. There's one gentleman that calls always about traffic. He's like, the traffic's there. So I'm like, hey, meet me on 154 in the morning next to the traffic signal, and we're going to meet with our traffic engineer. That never shows up. You know what I mean? And so that person just doesn't talk to me again. So I've kind of realized that a lot of times some people just want to be heard, but they don't want to be empowered to make the change. Luckily, there are some that'll be part of that process, but others, yeah.
Isn't that so the straight up definition of being a hater?
Listen, I don't know.
They're haters. Well, like, what's wrong? Like, you're giving them an opportunity. Solutions, not problems.
I have people who I try to speak to and they refuse to talk to me. Like, I'll see them on the street. I'm like, hey, what's up? You know, anything you want to? They're like, no, I don't want to talk. But then they come to our meetings and like, Manny Cid's the worst human being in the world. You know, so it's a little, but it is what it is. But it's part of the territory. I take it in stride and it's all good.
To the guy that complained about traffic and you did not make that meeting on Miami Lakes Drive right there, and he brought the traffic engineer, you're a hater.
I didn't say that.
I said that. I said it.
Thanks, Zog. Hey. So Zog, in closing,
yes,
some words of inspiration, motivation for the youth, because you brought up a lot of great points when it came to the perspective that you have and how young people can benefit from your perspective. So some words from a Miami legend to the youth in our community that they might, all you need is one person to hear that and it'll change their trajectory or their perspective.
Find something you love and then make that your career and never work a day in your life. Because when you have the passion for something, but find it, you got to, okay, what is it that I like? What is it that I love? You know, later on in life now is where I've gotten into the Food Network. I love watching all those culinary shows, Bobby Flay and Chopped and all those cooking shows and some of the Gordon Ramsay stuff. And I mean, I'm a little older now, not that old, but just a little bit older. And I mean, I have my career set. But if not, I'd go into culinary school because I loved it. I had no idea what the hell is, you know, your palate. I just learned that like a year ago. What the hell is having something on your palate? And, you know, I didn't know what a shallot was, you know, and I've been watching those shows and I started to get passion for it, you know, and so to get my mind off, like when I'm not DJing or I'm not on the radio, I like to cook, you know, and so find something that you're passionate about, whatever it is. And I would say like pursue that. And remember, and I said it when I said it earlier, and it kind of like raised your eyebrows. You're like, you know, just because you like something doesn't mean you're passionate for it. Find something that you're passionate, not just like. Everybody likes something, you know, but passionate about. And that's what I would say.
And there you have it.
There you have it.
Miami legend, 305 legend. Tune in every single morning to Power 96 to hear him. And make sure you tune into our episode next Wednesday on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Thank you, Zog. Appreciate
Thank you. By the way, we are on the Odyssey app, so you can download the Odyssey app, search for Power 96, and we could take us with you anywhere.
There you got it.
All
DJ Zog.
Let's go.
Wait. You got to close it out. Do a DJ Zog closeout of.
You just did a great job, by the way. I'm going to hire you for my events in my club. DJ Zog. That's it. In closing, I'm going to record that and use that in my mix. Is what I'm going to do.
Let's do it, man.
Yo, Miami Lakes in the building right here. Mayor Cid. Let's go. Thank you for having me. And at DJ Zog on all social media, except TikTok. I forgot my password.